All right, everybody, we are live to talk about autism. If you are an autism parent, if you suspect your child may be autistic, if you suspect you may be autistic, this is the place for you. We are just barely getting started. We go live every day for a couple of hours to talk about autism. So stick around, be hitting those likes, and let me introduce myself a little bit. So, hey, good morning, Anne-Marie. Good to see you. For those of you just coming in, let me do a little bit of an introduction. My name is Kylan. I live in Utah, and I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. I'm also a parent of 2 children diagnosed with autism, and I am an autism advocate. I'm the CEO of a company that provides autism services, and we come on this live stream every single day for a couple of hours to talk about autism. Now, go ahead and be putting those questions in the chat. Let me just finish getting a few things set up here, and then I'll jump right in to answer some questions. We are just about there. All right, everybody. Hey, let's see here. Anne-Marie, tips for dealing with autistic burnout. All right. So this autistic burnout is a topic that's gained a lot of traction over the past couple of years within the autism community, particularly the adults who have lower support needs with autism. And I got to say, mental health concerns, including burnout, are very real for everybody, including people with autism. Now, my biggest recommendation is if you are an adult diagnosed with autism, you need to find a therapist who is an expert in autism. Because the way your nervous system works, the way your brain works, you need a professional who understands it. And so absolutely find that kind of professional. All right, everybody. Good morning, Lexi. Let's go ahead. Oh, thank you, Caitlin, for being here. Good to see everybody. Let's go ahead and put it in the chat, you guys, of where you're from. Where are you guys from? Put the state that you're in, or put the country if you're not in the United States. I always like to see where we're from, see if we're representing the world here, or if we're just in the U.S. or, locally here. Anyone else in Utah? Oh, Oregon, UK, San Diego, California, Africa. That's cool, UK. Arizona, Texas, New York, Oklahoma. Hey, that's great, you guys. That's wonderful. Let me do a little bit of an introduction of me and why we're live here. So I go live on a daily basis to talk about autism. I am an autism father. I have 2 children who are the most perfect children you'll ever see. Actually, I have 4 children who are perfect, 2 of which are diagnosed with autism. 3.5-year-old and almost 2-year-old, and they're beautiful. They're amazing. On top of that, I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. I've worked with people with autism since 2013, and I run a company that provides services to people with autism throughout the state of Utah. So the way we run this is until we get 20,000 likes, I'm just reading comments. Once we get to 20,000 likes, I do go through the autism news of the day. If you have a question and you want a guarantee that I'll read it, you can hop over to the YT platform, which is linked in my bio. I can't say the name of it, but I think you know what I'm talking about, YT. But the chat is a lot quieter over there. The truth says, is it genetic? Largely genetic. Yes, 80 to 90% genetic. Are your children nonverbal? No. It's hard to say verbal versus nonverbal. They both struggle with communication. But they both can echo. I'd say that they have similar verbal capabilities right now. You'll see a video that I posted yesterday where I say happy and my son says happy autism day, and then I put it all together, happy autism day, and then he goes and he doesn't know what that means. He would never say that independently, but he's really good at hearing a sound and echoing that sound. Okay, does gut health and metal testing make a difference? So it's a hard one to answer. I don't want to say just yes or no, but what I do want to say is autism is not caused by heavy metals, and there is no by default recommended gut treatment, detox, or protocol that is recommended for kids with autism. Look, why I don't want to just say no, don't worry about gut health is because gut health is a broad category. You hear gut health, and here's the truth, is kids with autism or people with autism are far more likely to have gut problems, constipation, and stomach pains. And so I don't want to say gut health doesn't matter, because gut health does matter. But if you're addressing the gut health to try to address autism symptoms, there's no evidence that addressing gut health can address autism symptoms. Other than, like, of course, if you're constipated, it's going to be hard to learn to communicate. But that is addressed through your pediatrician and through a GI doctor, not through the tests that you take online. A lot of those tests, here's the truth with those tests, okay? If you take a test that measures the heavy metals and the gut health, and you're going to get a report back no matter who your kid is, and the levels are going to be off the chart all over the place. And you're going to say, wow, I am so glad I tested my child. What they don't tell you is that their testing is so sensitive that any slight difference, they mark it off the charts, and then they have something to sell you for it. And so it's a marketing scheme. Your doctor doesn't run reports like that. They don't send you out to go and get that. So don't stress that too much. But absolutely address gut health and see what you can do to make sure your child's comfortable. Can it be caused by lack of nutrition while in the young stages of brain development, like 0 to 2 years? Okay, so we have no correlating factors of environmental conditions that cause autism between the ages of 0 and 2 years. All of the environmental factors that are correlated with autism that go beyond the genetic factors occur during pregnancy. And those are things like exposure to pollution, including from automobiles, wildfire smoke, and pesticides. Also parental age, infections in the mother, and premature birth. But anything after birth, there's no correlating factors that we have yet to identify. Should I test my child or no? Okay, that's a good question. You guys, first, let me see, who do we have in here? No. What I want to do first is, if you have a child diagnosed with autism, what were some of the first signs that your child had? This is an important thing. I ask this sometimes, but I do it because it's so important that people see what you noticed first. These signs, these initial signs, are so helpful to these parents who are wondering if their child is autistic. No eye contact, delayed speech, not responding to name. Good. Okay, with my son, some of the first signs were that he was not responding to his name. By around 6 months old, a baby should be responding to their name. If they're over the age of 6 months and they're not responding to their name, that's something that you got to be keeping your eye on. Now, pointing at things is another thing that my son struggled with early on. And that usually develops between 9 and 12 months, that they'll point at things or they'll look where you point. And so those are things to be looking out for. Repetitive behaviors like flapping hands or fixating on hands or putting hands. My daughter does this. She always has her fingers crossed is kind of her thing. All right. Thank you all for sharing all of that. All right. Over on the YT platform, we do have some questions coming in. Okay, so you couldn't tell before 6 months. Okay, with my son, he was delayed and missed just about every single milestone. So we knew that there was something going on. But it was around like 6 to 9 months that we started seeing the signs that, like, okay, this could be autism. And around 12 months, it was like, yeah, we know this is autism. So, yeah, good question. All right. Keep on putting those questions in the chat. As soon as we get to 20,000 likes, we do go through the autism news of the day. Welcome to today's live stream, you guys. We do this every day, usually from noon until 2 Eastern time. Okay. The psychologists working on the DSM-6 are looking to make autism and ADHD one diagnosis. Thoughts? Lala, I don't believe that they are. And I'll tell you why. So autism and ADHD, it used to be before 2013 that you could not diagnose somebody with both autism and ADHD. They treated it as the same spectrum. They treated it as if you're diagnosed with autism, ADHD is already taken care of. We don't need to account for that with a separate diagnosis. And it wasn't until the diagnosis in 2013 that changed and they separated it out, and you were able to have both an autism diagnosis and an ADHD diagnosis. It really wouldn't make sense that they would combine it into a single diagnosis because they are so different. They are conflicting. They are opposite. Okay? People who have ADHD, which is about 50% of people diagnosed with autism, who have both ADHD and autism, they have a really hard time because there's an internal battle in their brain going on. It is a battle every single day because these two conditions both demand something different. Autism demands rigidity, routine, consistency, calmness. ADHD demands novelty, change, doing that thing that brings the most reward in the moment. And that can disrupt routine. And so it's like driving to the store. I say this every day. It's like driving to the store and you're pushing on the brake and the gas at the same time. You're not going to get very far. So they're not going to combine those on the same thing. Now, DSM-6, one thing that is confirmed that they're looking at doing is adding a separate diagnosis. Now, tell me in the chat what you think about this. Put yes if you think this would be good. They're looking at adding a separate diagnosis for profound autism that can only be diagnosed after the age of 8 if there's a measured IQ below 50, minimal communication skills, and requiring 24/7 support. Do you think yes or no? Would that be good to add in? Let me know what you think. Let me tell you my concern. I think I'm conflicted on it, honestly. I love the idea of it. What I don't want to have happen is, since that's a small percentage of people with autism, I don't want that to deflect from the very real needs and supports that other autistic people have. And so what I could see happening is insurance pushing and saying, hey, we'll only pay for these services if they have a profound autism diagnosis. So if they start doing that, then that starts being harmful. That's what we need to keep our eye out for. All right, let's go ahead and continue on with some of these conversations. Insurance is trying to consider my daughter a lost cause. Ambi, what does that mean? How can they try to declare your child a lost cause? Are they giving you denials? Oh my goodness. I hate autism denials or insurance denials, you guys. Let me tell you something. Insurance is counting on you not fighting back. I hope you know that. They will deny for any little reason they can. And it can be so small, like the provider put the wrong date of birth, or there was like a typo on the diagnosis report. And they will reject any authorization for services in hopes that you as the parent don't fight back. They're hoping that you don't submit a complaint. They're hoping that you don't resubmit for reconsideration, that you don't appeal it. So you guys, if insurance is giving you a hard time, you need to learn to fight back. You're going to deal with this your child's entire life as long as they need support. Within 6 months of my child being diagnosed, we started getting these denials, and I had to start fighting for my own child. Okay, does the increase in autism in recent years worry you? Is that worrying? Why is that? Flats, good question. I saw a video yesterday that I'm probably going to stitch. Okay, I'm looking at stitching it because What she says is, and I don't want to be mean to her. She has twins with autism, and she saw regression, and it was hard for her. But she says, hey, in the year 2000, it was only 1 in 150 people diagnosed with autism. Now, this year, it's 1 in 31 kids diagnosed with autism. Now, that sounds terrifying. That it's 5 times more likely today than it was back in 2000. Based on that, what do you think? Do we have an autism epidemic, you guys? Do we have an autism epidemic? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. Because I want to be super transparent here. There is a lot of fear-mongering around that. That people take those statistics and then they say an epidemic of autism as if autism was a disease to cure. I hate the term epidemic because it dilutes what autism actually is, which is a neurodevelopmental difference. It's not something that can be cured or should be cured. It is something that needs support and acceptance and love. And so what's actually happening? Do we have an epidemic? Do we have a huge increase in autism? No, we don't. We don't. And the truth is we don't know exactly if it's increasing, decreasing, because we changed how we measured things. Okay? Let me break this down for you. In the year 2000, do you know who was able to get diagnosed with autism? It was only those most profoundly impacted. ASD as we know it today was not a diagnosis until 2013. And that's when Asperger's was gone and they added the levels into autism to account for Asperger's and other conditions that were previously diagnosed separately. And so what they did is they made the net that we cast out so big. And so of course it went up. Now, if you're saying only those most profoundly impacted are going to be diagnosed in 2000, and today it's a wide spectrum, that net is massively different. And we can't say that, oh, something's going on, something is suspicious here. It must be the vaccines, it must be COVID, it must be screen time. I mean, you can't say that. Because it's not even the same condition that was being measured in the year 2000. You cannot compare those two numbers. Beyond that, something that we do today that we didn't do in the year 2000 is every single pediatrician screens for autism in children at 18 months and 24 months. So very few kids get missed with autism these days because of the screeners that go on. And so... no, it does not concern me that there's a 1 in 150 in 2000 and 1 in 31 today. That sounds about right. What concerns me more is that boys have a 1 in 20 chance of being diagnosed with autism and girls have a 1 in 70 chance. See, to me, that is what's concerning. Because what that tells me is that there are still girls out there being missed. There's still girls out there who have so much societal pressure on them to mask that it makes it challenging to identify what support needs they have. That's what concerns me. I don't think we have an overdiagnosis problem. I think we are severely underdiagnosing girls still. All right, you guys keep putting those questions in the chat. I'll do a quick introduction. We're at 11,000 likes. As soon as we get to 20,000, I do go through the autism news of the day. A little bit about myself is that I am a father of 2 children diagnosed with autism, and I'm an autism advocate. I do a lot of work advocating, not just here on social media, but with my local institutions, with legislation. I met with my state senator just 2 weeks ago and advocated for some things. I go live on a daily basis to talk about autism, to advocate with you guys, to build a village, because we need a village. I need a village, you guys. I do this just as much for me as for anyone else, because I have hard days. As an autism dad, this is hard stuff. I am stressed, I'm overwhelmed, and I don't always know how to help my son. And so doing these lives does help me. I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. I have a master's degree in autism studies. And I'm the CEO of a company that provides autism services. So you could say autism is a part of every aspect of my life at this moment. And that doesn't make me the biggest expert in the world, but it does make me one of the most passionate people you'll ever meet on this subject. And so I do the best I can to learn, to grow, And when people disagree with me, which happens a lot, I invite you to send me your research. I want to learn. I have such a fierce desire to understand every aspect of this. Holy cow, Kathy, thank you so much for that vocal bear. That is so cool. Wow. All right, you guys. Here at Fenway Park, we just got a sensory room. I'm so excited. That's beautiful. I love that. I love it when, guys, we need to create more safe spaces for people with autism. Let me tell you something I'm doing today. I'm putting on a sensory-friendly Easter egg hunt here in Utah. And what we have going on today is instead of look, if you have a kid with autism, imagine the nightmare of just going to a typical egg hunt where they're having to compete with the other kids to try to find eggs. That's not going to work. And so what we are doing is we have it scheduled out to where one family comes at a time throughout the day, and we'll have the Easter bunny there, and they'll be in one room to play for a minute while we set things up, and then they'll go in the other room, and that family will do an egg hunt all on their own, and then they'll be able to leave. It's totally free to the public here in Utah. And so I am all for the other. A few weeks ago, we did a sensory-friendly movie night where kids with autism were invited to come. See, this is what we need to do. We need to create spaces where people with autism are able to thrive. That's what we need. We don't need a cure for autism. We need the world to be cured of intolerance, of not accepting our little ones with autism. We need more accommodations, more love, more acceptance, more support. So I love hearing those things. All right, you guys, let's continue on with some of these conversations. We're at 16,000 likes. As soon as we get to 20,000, we will go through the autism news of the day. How do I even get an assessment as an adult? Okay, that's a good question. So if you are an adult and you have wondered if you're autistic, I've wondered if I'm autistic. Let me tell you the steps I did. When my son was diagnosed, I learned shortly after, or before even, that autism is largely genetic. And so when my son was diagnosed with autism, that caused some self-reflection in me. It made me think, hey, look, I understand that when I was little, autism wasn't diagnosed as it's diagnosed today. And so perhaps there's a chance that something was missed. And so there's autism screeners out there where you don't have to go and meet with a psychologist first. You can first look at a screener. Now, I want to keep in mind that the goal of any of this, no one should have a goal of being autistic. If you have felt alignment as you hear people talk about autism, I don't want you to align yourself so closely that you believe you're autistic before having that diagnosis. You should get to the point where screeners indicate autism, and that prompts you to get clarity about yourself. This isn't going to get an autism diagnosis. This is going to get clarity for yourself, to learn about yourself and figure out what happens. Because I hear all the time people think they're autistic, they go get evaluated, and they don't meet the criteria. And that's okay too. That's okay. It's all about clarity. And so I actually have linked in my bio a screener for adults, also a screener for children that are both validated measures for screening for autism. Now, if you take that, anything on the RADS 14, anything over 14 is clinically significant. And so meaning if you score 14 or above, that there's a recommendation to consider talking to a psychologist. All right, you guys, we are at 18,000 likes. As soon as we get to 20,000, we will go through the autism news of the day. I was diagnosed with Asperger's, but I was diagnosed with Tourette's, anxiety, and depression. Yeah, okay. Hey, what kind of specialist should we see about microflora and autism? You're wondering about gut health stuff? You're going to want to go to a pediatrician or a GI doctor. Don't go and speak to people who have like these huge social media platforms trying to sell you detox protocols. That's not who you need to be talking to about this stuff. Can an autistic adult move out and get their own place to live? Absolutely. Did you know that 40% of people with autism go to college? Autism is not a death sentence, you guys. It does not determine if you or your child are diagnosed with autism. It does not determine how far you can go in life. Now, if it's very real that a lot of people with autism, there's a comorbid diagnosis of an intellectual disability, which is typically associated with an IQ lower than 70 and impacting your ability to live independently. that absolutely can be real and something that we need to look out for. That can happen to a lot of people with autism. And if that's the case, we need to support them. But do not underestimate your children's potential. We need to assume the best. We need to support them to become the best version of themselves. Not because that's what we want for them, but because we want them to be the happiest version of themselves that they can be. How young can you get diagnosed? New here. Hey, you're new here? I love that. I love hearing that. Okay, you can get diagnosed as early as 12 months old. Most people won't diagnose that young, but the tool that's used to measure autism in toddlers is called the ADOS, toddler module, which is valid for as young as 12 months old. Now, that doesn't mean that is the age that they will allow you to get diagnosed. Most psychologists won't evaluate till 1.5. My daughter was diagnosed at 19 months. My son was diagnosed just before he turned 2. And so earlier the better too. I hear all the time people saying that they want to wait to avoid the label because they want their kid to catch up without getting the diagnosis because they believe that the autism label will do them harm. And I really want to question that. That'll be a theme of today's discussion, questioning the autism label as harmful. All right, you guys, we have passed 20,000 likes. That means it is time for the autism news of the day. There is a new article in the news posted by the New York Post today about autism and TikTok. You guys, they made a TikTok about us, or they made a news article about us. Not my platform, but all of us. Hey, thank you so much for the confetti. They made a news article about the autism community on TikTok. Let me share what they said. The headline of this article is TikTok has convinced everyone they have autism. That's what's being reported in the news today. TikTok has convinced everyone that they have autism. Tell me your thoughts about that. Has TikTok convinced all of us that we're autistic? A diagnosis from Dr. Doomscroll. It may be time for a second opinion. Social media users are increasingly diagnosing themselves with autism after watching TikTok content about the neurodevelopmental condition, drawing mixed reactions from experts. All right, you guys. I don't see this very often where people are actually diagnosing themselves. I do see a lot of awareness being built. And let me tell you why I believe it is doing more good than harm that this is happening. First of all, in order to have access to the accommodations and supports and services that you need for your child or for yourself, you need an official diagnosis from a psychologist. And it is not harmful to spread awareness and have more people seeking that diagnosis. That is a good thing because so many people were missed. If you are autistic and you were missed as a child, put me in the chat. If you were missed as an autistic person when you were a toddler, put me in the chat. I think this is going to blow people's mind to see how common this is that people are diagnosed with autism, but they were missed as a child. It is happening everywhere. And you guys, it's not people making it up. It's that 1 in 31 always existed, but remember that statistic, only 1 in 150 people were diagnosed in 2000. That doesn't mean that it increased. It means we have so many people who were missed from years ago. And so, of course, as we spread awareness on TikTok, we are going to see this huge expansion of people who are recognizing autism in themselves. It is not people making it up. It's not people making it up. Okay. I agree with a lot is being said here. Okay. Scientists have attributed the spike to expanded diagnostic criteria, improved screening tools, and greater awareness, perhaps in part from social media. And then hashtag actually autistic, for one, has generated around 1 million TikTok posts. But viral videos can't actually determine if you're autistic, even if the behaviors, feelings, or fixations in them feel familiar. So there are, guys, that there's a huge benefit of spreading awareness online. I do agree that you can't diagnose yourself. You can't claim that you're autistic unless you've talked to a psychologist. You can say that you suspect you're autistic. But also, I am worried that people are so convinced that they're autistic that when a psychologist says no, they have a hard time believing them. And so just remember that this awareness should move us to build clarity and establish clarity, not false claims of autism. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and answer some more questions here. What about women being diagnosed after becoming moms? Is it because our kids or hormones or stress? So, Micah, it's not because what's happening is the awareness is spread and these moms are not becoming autistic. They're not becoming autistic through childbirth. What's happening is that perhaps the stressful situations are hard to handle if you're autistic, and that can bring out questions about yourself. Also, when you have kids diagnosed with autism, it makes you question things as well. Hey, I'm wondering who here is new? Who here is finding me for the first time today? If I came across your For You page for the first time today, please put FYP in the chat. Or if you're new here, if I came across your For You page, put FYP in the chat. There we go. Look at all these people just coming in. Welcome to the village, you guys. Welcome to the Space to Thrive village. This is where you get support if you're autistic. This is where you get support if you have a child with autism. This is where we answer questions. We dispel misinformation, and we are here for each other. We are positive. And yes, also, if you're a professional, this is the place for you. It's so important as a professional that you hear the voice of autistic people and parents. Those are two distinct people that have different perspectives. You need to know that. I am not autistic, but I really value autistic people's perspectives. I'm an autism parent, and a lot of autistic people don't know what it's like to be an autism parent. Those are very different things and different perspectives that are both valid and important to building this community, you guys. I go live on the daily basis, so if you are new here, make sure that you are following. Right there, you can hit follow without even leaving the screen so that you can see next time that we go live. Igloo says this guy named Clavicular made it cool to have the tism or be neurodivergent. Is Clavicular autistic? Is that a thing? I've heard of him. I don't know him, but is he autistic? All right. Jacob, what can you tell us about masking? Okay. So masking refers to concealing or hiding autistic traits in an effort to appear neurotypical. Now, why is masking a problem? Why is masking a problem? Well, masking is a problem because stimming and other autistic traits that you see are not being done just because of weird traits or weird characteristics. It's being done to regulate that person's nervous system. Let me ask you if you've seen this. Have you experienced this as an autistic person, or have you experienced this as an autism parent, where if you're an autism parent, your child goes to school and the teachers have no complaints. The teachers are so happy about how your child is doing at school, okay? But then your child comes home and melts down. They let themselves go. They are exhausted, they're having a hard time, and at home is where they struggle. That is what we see as a result of masking. That when an autistic child is at school and they can't be themselves, they can't stim, they can't have all the movement. Remember, stimming isn't just flapping your hands, but it's climbing on things, it's moving, it's pacing, it is being loud. Some of those things really do help regulate the nervous system. And so when a child's not able to do that in a safe place at school, then they come home, they've been dysregulated all day. And now they're finally in a place that they can be safe, they can open, and it can, come out as a meltdown. So that's my take on masking. I do not believe that we should stop kids with autism from masking, or from stimming. unless it's causing harm to themselves or others. I was always categorized as shy. Yeah. Yeah, if you're autistic, a lot of times people are categorized as shy. Yes, I agree. Stimming is self-regulation. Yes. Do you think autism is linked to vaccines? Guys, I'm going to say this very clearly. There is no correlation that has ever been identified between vaccines and autism. There are anecdotes of parents saying that they noticed change in their child's behavior immediately after the vaccine. And I got to tell you, I believe them. I don't think they're making it up. I mean, a lot of times a fever comes. That's the most common side effect of vaccines. And then following that, I mean, if your child has just started a regression or is starting right after, parents are typically hyper aware after the vaccine of monitoring how their child's doing. And that's when they recognize a regression happening. But it's just because that is typically when regressions happen. It is a time-based anecdote correlation that occurs evenly in kids who are vaccinated and kids who are unvaccinated. Jacob says, I suspect I have autism and I have masked my entire life. I worry I won't be diagnosed because of it. Okay, that's valid, but just know if you're an adult going and seeking an autism diagnosis, they do interviews with you. They talk about how you're feeling and what that masking looks like for you. And so don't think that that's going to prevent you from being able to be diagnosed. It won't. Over on the YT platform, huge masker here. I cannot change me when in public, but at home unmasking. Sometimes it does come out as meltdowns. Yeah, yes, it can, absolutely. Okay, I needed to hear that. I'm getting an eval in 2 weeks. Okay, yes, I love that. Now remember, if you're getting an autism evaluation, you're not going to get an autism diagnosis. That's not the purpose of going to get evaluated. It is to get clarity. The moment you are seeking out clarity instead of seeking out an autism diagnosis, that changes something. This is not something you can still be neurodivergent and not have an autism diagnosis. You can still hang out with us. You can still be here even if you don't have an autism diagnosis. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and there is something I meant to talk about, you guys. I had to talk about this. While I do, I want to get to know all of you guys here. Put 1 in the chat if you're an autism parent. Put 2 in the chat if you are autistic or suspected. Put 3 in the chat if you are just here to learn or you're a professional or interested in autism. 1, 2, or 3. And I want to touch on something here, especially for those of you who put 1, who suspect that their child is autistic. I hear on a daily basis from parents who so commonly say that they are scared to have their child evaluated for autism because they're worried that the label will stick with them their whole life and cause them harm. I felt that. Part of me felt that with my son when we got him evaluated. That is a normal thing to feel. But I wanna question that belief. Okay, now hear me out. There is nothing inherently wrong with the label of autism. That is society telling you, and an ableist perspective. The autism diagnosis is not a death sentence. It is not harmful in any way to have that label. But what it does do is that label opens the door to support services and accommodations that would not otherwise be available. So when you say it does them harm, I question that and say what really does harm is not giving them that label when they could use that support. That is what is going to do your child harm. And for those of you who you can attest to this, if you're an adult and wish you had this support your entire life, giving you the freedom to unmask, giving you the freedom to understand yourself and validate your feelings. If you could have had that through your high school years or your middle school years, how different would things be right now? And so, no, you're not going to do your child harm. They're not going to be mad at you that you got them diagnosed at 18 months. They're going to be happy and grateful that you got them the support that they needed. All right, you guys. I love this. I love this. Let's go ahead and answer some more questions. How can I encourage an autistic child to eat different, better foods? Okay, put eat in the chat. If your child or you, if you're autistic, struggles to eat a variety of food, put eat in the chat. I want to see how common this is here with the people here, if it's something that I should touch on. Oh, yeah, look at that. We got a lot of people. We got a lot of people who have experienced this. Nicole, BCBA here, and see this all the time with clients. Nicole, thank you for being here as a BCBA. My son is diagnosed with ARFID. Okay, so ARFID refers to extremely rigid behavior or rigid eating patterns where you are restricted to only a few safe foods. First, I need to brag on my son. Yesterday, at dinner, look, okay. Before I brag, let me give you one example of what a feeding therapist can do. So I recommend if your child is struggling to eat, they need to be in feeding therapy. There's so much I want to talk about on this. This is such an important topic. But one thing that feeding therapy tells you to do is you don't put the pressure on your child to eat foods that don't feel safe to them, but you do always make them available and get them comfortable with having them around. And so my son, I have never seen him eat an apple. I've never seen him eat an apple. And yesterday, we always, if we have apples at dinner or lunch or whatever, they're on his plate or they're by him. And I looked over and he had grabbed an apple slice and he ate the slice. He ate an apple, you guys, for the first time yesterday. A new food unlocked. He's 3.5 years old. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. He has pretty rigid eating, but he does okay. But fruits, nope, or veggies, they're hard for him. And I was so proud. And after that, he was so excited. He went and grabbed a full apple off the counter and took a big bite out of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, a new food that he enjoys. A new food that he enjoys. Oh man, it was a big deal. Okay, this is a big deal. So the big thing I want to tell you is you are not failing your kid by giving them the safe foods. Do not force them or put pressure to eat other foods. You need to just provide them options, get into feeding therapy, and avoid the harmful rhetoric of you must eat this food or go to bed hungry. That is the absolute worst thing that you can do for your child if they're restricted in their eating. What do you think about detox? Jenny, I'm going to be honest with you. Detox is not needed or recommended for kids with autism. It's not, I've never seen it prescribed by a pediatrician. And it's expensive. Typically, it's sold to you on social media with someone getting commissions by linking it in their bio. And there is no evidence that detox addresses autism symptoms. Autism has not been found to be caused by heavy metals in the brain. Let me tell you how this starts, okay? Because whenever there's these controversial treatments, there's always a grain of truth in there. And let me tell you where that grain of truth is. The grain of truth is that heavy metals can be neurotoxic. We know that mercury poisoning can cause brain damage. It is neurotoxic. And so there was a theory for a while that is how autism is formed. That, especially around vaccines, that the metals in the vaccines are neurotoxic for the brain. And that's where this detox came from. It's parents feeling like autism is just a cloud over the brain that can be treated or supported through detoxing from those metals. When put to the test, this has not been able to be demonstrated through the research. In my opinion, it's harmful rhetoric because it implies that autism is something that can be reversed or cured instead of accepted, loved, and supported. And so I don't recommend detox. And in fact, the biggest harm that most detox has is simply the expense that comes with it. So I don't believe that you're harming your child doing those things. But it also takes time and effort away that you could be putting towards things that are documented and evidence-based, like these therapies: occupational therapy, speech therapy, ABA therapy, mental health therapy. The worst thing, though, is one variation of detox is called chelation therapy. Chelation therapy is something I need to urge strongly against. And I have to bring this up whenever I can, because it is still believed that 1 in 15 children with autism undergo chelation therapy, very harmful therapy, to try to rid their body of toxins. Chelation therapy is a medication given when someone has heavy metal poisoning, like mercury poisoning at extremely high doses, and it strips your body of metals. Now, the problem with that is your body needs those metals. And so there are many documented cases of real harm that happens from chelation therapy with trying to treat autism. Anemia, lack of iron, is just one example. Kids have been hospitalized. Kids have died because of this. And so please be cautious around chelation therapy. How can I help my nonverbal autistic adult brother talk more? Sweet Lily Moon. Sweet Lily Moon. Thank you for asking that question. What a wonderful sister. I believe that autism siblings are going to change the world. That stigma of being diagnosed with autism, that's going away because of autism siblings. I am so impressed by autism siblings. I mean, it honestly is so humbling to hear people come on this live and, ask about how they can help their sibling when, they don't have a responsibility. All they have is love and care. Sweet Lily Moon, thank you so much for asking that. First of all, you are doing exactly what you need to do as a sister. You're there for him. Now, I want to urge caution with people, because a lot of people think, if they don't learn it young, they're never going to. I hate the phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because I see it every day. The company that I run an autism services company, and we have clinics dedicated to adults who are autistic that come in with no meaningful form of communication, and they walk away being able to identify their needs and have functional communication available to them through either an AAC device or PECS, picture exchange communication system, or sign. It is unlikely that if an adult has no meaningful vocal language, it's unlikely to work up to much vocal language at that point. But signing and AAC devices and picture exchange systems are wonderful, and absolutely they can learn. I helped my mom take care of him. Sweet Lily Moon, you're incredible. Thank you for taking care of your brother, and work with the professionals. You should see if you can get your brother into ABA therapy. My child did not learn to clap until he was 10. Sista, thank you for sharing that. That's a lot. Okay, let me go ahead and get back onto the YT platform. We do have some more comments coming in. I have only told a very few amount of people that I trust that I've been diagnosed. My psychologist said to only tell people I feel comfortable with knowing, because sometimes they will judge. Stephs. I hate that judgment. I hate that you have to live with that fear that people are going to judge you. I wish I could tell you that there is no that is a fear that doesn't exist, but you are aware of this, that people do judge people. But I want to urge you to not worry about other people and what they think about it. You are great. You are perfect. And sometimes other people understanding will go a long way. I swear we can put new stuff on my son's plate and he won't touch it, but let a stranger be eating it and he will take it out of their hand. Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Wow. Nicole, thank you so much. That means the world to me. Thank you, thank you. My grandmother, who lived with us when we were children, told us, eat what I'm feeding you or go to bed. All three of us children would go to bed hungry a lot. Yes, yes. How do you feel about autistic adults that are against ABA therapy? I kind of feel like they are not listened to because parents feel they have no other options. Wow, that is a deep question. And it goes into Sweet Lily Moon's question about ABA therapy. So ABA therapy, what is ABA therapy? Applied Behavior Analysis Therapy is a service provided to people with autism that insurance pays for and is widely recognized in the evidence of being highly effective at teaching new skills and reducing problem behavior, including communication. It's can be up to 30 hours a week of therapy. Now, what Urban Frugal Chick said is actually spot on. There are a lot of autistic adults who received ABA as a child, and it was a traumatic experience. In fact, from those experiences, there are some studies to suggest that there may be an increase in PTSD or PTSD-like symptoms in adults who went through ABA therapy. Now, those studies are not conclusive. They're extremely flawed, but should still be thought about. I believe that ABA can be really harmful. And this is someone who does ABA all the time. I'm a BCBA doing ABA therapy, and I do not deny people's real experience with this. Let me tell you why I believe it happens. It happens. We know that ABA is effective, that skills can be learned, and behavior can be changed. But where PTSD is coming from is that there are behaviors that should not be addressed that historically ABA used to prioritize. Those are things like masking. Did you know that ABA therapy used to urge kids to not flap their hands? I mean, even when I was starting this in 2013, that was a common thing of, oh yeah, like we need them to look neurotypical. That was part of the goal of working with autistic kids. And so that was harmful. You shouldn't be addressing that. I also think that targeting compliance too much should not be the goal. In fact, I think the opposite should. Self-advocacy is a far more important goal than compliance. And so if you're getting ABA therapy, and the field is so much better now not addressing these things, but you got to look out for it still. You got to make sure that the people doing ABA with you are not overly focused on masking behaviors at all. I mean, unless it's causing harm to someone, and then there should be a separate outlet. Also, making sure that there's not an overemphasis on compliance. So do not avoid ABA because of this. I am not trying to drive people away. I'm just being honest. I as a BCBA and someone who runs a company that does ABA therapy, I don't feel any pressure at all to defend ABA. I'm going to say, yeah, that autistic adults who are traumatized by it, I mean, that was messed up and wrong for the things that happened there. And let's do better. Let's make sure our kids are supported well and that we're addressing appropriate behaviors to address. Oh no, Miss Betty, yes, avoid chelation therapy. Yes, you have to avoid chelation therapy. The levels of heavy metals. Okay, so here's what ends up happening. People go and they do these tests and they may indicate a slight higher metal in the bloodstream. But the way that they present the results to you are as if your child is going to be like their brain is going to be harmed unless you rid them of all these metals. When metals are in everybody's bloodstream, okay? If you test anybody's, there's going to be heavy metal. And the chelation therapy is extremely harmful. I mean, kids have died from this, you guys. Kids are hospitalized from this. And so avoid the chelation therapy. Absolutely. No pediatrician is going to recommend that. What is your take on stem cells? Stem cell therapy, there's strong theory behind it. There have been some types of stem cell treatments for autistic-like behaviors in rats, but expanding that in randomized clinical trials for adults has not proved to be effective like that. Oh, sweet Lily Moon, thank you so much for the bubbles. Let me tell you, I think that it is not expanded to humans, the stem cell therapy results, and it is very expensive. You're talking about going $20,000 in debt to go and get this stem cell therapy outside of the United States, and for something that has not been shown to reliably address behaviors. Now, if the clinical trials are still going on for this, and so if you feel passionately about doing this, please do it in a way that you're participating in a clinical trial here in the United States, so there's proper oversight and protections. How can I help my 2-year-old stop screaming when he's feeling frustrated? Gabby, what a good question. I also see another good question that I don't want to forget to come back to. What is a good sign your child will talk in the future? I want to talk about that too. Okay, 2-year-old, stop screaming when he's feeling frustrated. Okay, if your child struggles to communicate, that can lead to behavioral concerns. Think of an infant. You're not mad at an infant for crying, right? You're grateful that your infant cries to let you know that something is wrong. And so problem behaviors occur similarly when people struggle to be able to communicate because it's their only form of communication. And so you will see that as communication increases, behavior decreases. There's a lot more I could touch on with that, but I don't want to forget to touch on this one. What is a good sign your child will talk in the future? Whoa, thank you for the woolly hat. That was so cool. Okay, a sign that your child will talk in the future is one of the leading indicators, okay, that your child is going to acquire language is their ability to imitate motor movement. Okay, let me explain this. So if your child is 2-3 years old, they're not talking, but if you clap like this, are they going to clap in return? If they do, that is a strong indicator that language is going to develop. Why is that the case? Well, let me explain this. You cannot prompt someone to talk other than echoing. Meaning, I can't go in and stick my hands in your mouth and shape your tongue and make it so, and push on your diaphragm and make a word come out. Okay, I can't prompt you that way to speak. But what I can do is I can clap and then I can prompt you to clap. We can work on imitating, and then that can generalize to speech. So then they're not just imitating motor movement, but they're imitating sounds. And the moment they start doing that, then language starts coming rapidly. Okay. My daughter is knocking on my door right now. This is the cutest thing. Brooklyn, if you're on, just so you know, the baby is down here knocking on the door. That is amazing. Okay. What is your take on vitamin A to help with autism? Okay, so I recommend consult with a pediatrician before you consider any vitamin or supplement. There is no vitamin, there is no supplement, there is no medication or diet or detox protocol that by default your child needs simply because they're autistic. Their body is not biologically different, needing different medications. Thank you so much for that. Wow. But I will say there are vitamins and supplements and medications that are helpful in specific situations. And so you need to work with your pediatrician on this so that you are not, so that you don't need to be the expert. You don't need to be on your own with all of these decisions. Okay. Let's see. How do I know if I have autism? Because I really want to know. I got 82 on the test. Oh, did you do the RADS and you got 82? Okay, so The RAD's 14 that's linked to my bio. It can go up to 42, and anything over 14 is clinically significant. There is no screener that you can do at home that can diagnose you with autism. There's only screeners that can point you in the direction of, hey, you should pursue a diagnosis. Now, typically, a mental health therapist is not going to be able to diagnose you with autism. It's not going in, talking to your therapist, and getting an autism diagnosis. If your therapist said, hey, this kind of looks like autism, that's not an autism diagnosis. You don't have an autism diagnosis. The way you get an autism diagnosis is through a full evaluation from a psychologist. And so there are psychologists that specialize in adults getting evaluated. And so you just need to go through and find those in your area. If you're in Utah, I have a really good connection. And so you can DM me directly if you need some resources here in Utah. Now, I also want to put in there that if you need any other services in Utah, let me know. I'm happy to point you in a direction of places and people to help. How does one request a diagnosis, and from whom? Okay, you need to find a psychologist. Psychologists are typically the ones who do the full evaluation, and you'll just kind of look it up on your on Google. Now, I am very soon, you guys. I am going to have a link to be able to find services from places that I personally have vetted throughout the United States. That is my plan. To vet places without a wait list and that are legitimate places that I can point you in proper direction. But I'm not going to just have an open list of everybody because I'm not going to recommend people that I have not vetted and held to some level of standard of care. Kathy, you're in St. George. I love St. George. I used to live in Hurricane. Adult testing, what is normal and what is just clinic trying to get money? Kimberly, you should just you should make sure that they are evaluating for autism and try to make sure it's paid for by insurance. This is a medical diagnosis. Insurance pays for this. Now, you can jump wait lists if you have the resources to pay out of cash and go to somewhere with a lower wait list paying out of cash. But yeah. A lot of these aren't necessarily a money grab. The money grab is when it's not if they're trying to sell you stuff outside of a diagnosis, that's concerning. At what age is ABA no longer useful? My daughter, ABA therapist, says after 6, not useful. Oh my goodness, that is definitely not true. That might be where their expertise ends, or that may be for your specific situation or your daughter based on the progress she's making. But it's not. We do ABA therapy in my organization for all ages. There are people we kind of call them the lost boys and the lost girls who got diagnosed and were severely impacted by autism. However, there were not available resources. There was no ABA therapy. There was no occupational therapy available to them. And they struggled. And now they come to us with no meaningful form of communication. And ABA therapy works and is effective at improving communication and improving some of those skills that they need to improve the quality of their life. So it all depends on what your child needs. Does infrared help reduce brain inflammation in kids with ASD? I don't have studies to comment on that. I don't like speaking on things I don't have comments on. It is not one of the default recommended therapies that pediatric boards or organizations recommend. That is kind of standard. That's one of those things I'd recommend if you're wondering. Go and dive into the research. And I'm not talking about like one case study. There's some weird research out there, you guys, that gets published in an obscure article and is a single case study with one person and poor methodology for study showing weird things. So remember, like, you want something that has a lot of evidence around it. You can use some AI tools to summarize research in non-biased ways to really gain some insight into these things. But before you do all of that, you guys, let me break down what you need to do. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to go and discover the hidden secrets of autism that your doctor doesn't want you to know about. Okay, stick to the basics. If you're an autism parent, these things are hard. It is hard to go through this. And there's challenges with finances, challenges with the 24/7 aspect of always being on high alert. There's an aspect of the fear and the grief of not knowing what's going to happen with your child. And to add on top of that, the fear of never feeling like you're doing enough. That feeling right there is something I all the time try to shut down on this live, that feeling that you are not doing enough. Let me tell you what enough looks like. Number one, you need a village so that you can take care of yourself. Let me ask you guys this, put yes or no in the chat. If you had to go into the emergency room for yourself right now, would there be somebody to take care of your child? Or if they're at school, when they're at home, and you had to go into the emergency room, would you have someone to take care of your child so you could focus on you? That should be opening your eyes, you guys. That should be opening your eyes to see where we are starting from. And that's the state that you're in right now. And then you're wondering about, like, how do I double the challenges in my life and go on a gluten-free diet for my child? Like, you're thinking about the wrong things first. The first thing I want you to do is take care of yourself. There's that cliche saying of, on the airplane, you put your own mask on before helping someone else. It applies with autism too. Take care of yourself. Don't lose yourself. Get your village so you can get out and do something just for you. That needs to be a priority. And your time and effort going into that, instead of these obscure fringe services or therapies, is going to be way more beneficial. Instead of paying $20,000 to go get stem cell therapy, if you don't have a village and you don't have people, spend that $20,000 over the next couple of years in childcare so that you can go and do things on your own. That is number one. Number two, get clarity, get a diagnosis. And number three, you need to build a care team. You need to surround yourself with experts. Okay? There are real experts out there, not fringe therapy. This is real evidence-based stuff, which includes occupational therapy, speech therapy, ABA therapy, and mental health therapy. You surround yourself with those experts and a good pediatrician, and you let them recommend what services your child needs. You have them teach you how to help your child. That is doing enough for your kid. You don't need to go and try to solve the world by finding all the different obscure therapies that your doctor doesn't want you to know about. Do you have advice on connecting with your spouse as autism parents? Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. Did you know that divorce rates are higher for parents of children with disabilities? It's not the 80% that you hear on social media. That's not true. But it is meaningfully higher. Disability puts a strain. It's not the disability or your child putting the strain, but something I've noticed is that disability tends to make inequities in relationships more salient. What do I mean about that? What does that mean? What I'm talking about here is when we talk and look at the mental load that families carry, that mothers carry quite often, there is strong evidence that suggests mothers of children with disabilities bear the bulk of that mental load and stress. I know that's not every situation, and I'm not trying to speak on every situation, but I am trying to speak to those mothers who feel like they may not have that partner who is sharing that mental load. Because what happens when they're not building that mental load or sharing that mental load? That's when resentment begins. And when there's resentment, that's when separation happens and disconnect with your spouse. One of my biggest recommendations, if you have a child with autism, is you need to get a handle on what the mental load looks like within your home, and be honest about it. If you are a wife or a mother and you feel as though you are bearing the bulk of the mental load, let me know in the chat. Put mental load in the chat. If you feel like you are a mother or a father, but that you are bearing the bulk of the mental load in your home and in the therapies and with your child with disabilities, put mental load in the chat. I want you to know that you're not alone. This is common. This is difficult. And what ends up happening is resentment can begin. You are not doing your spouse any service by taking on all of that mental load. You are doing a disservice because you are then going to come to resent them, and then you're not going to be able to connect with them. The kindest thing that you can do for yourself and for your spouse and for your child with a disability is to learn how to split those mental loads. How do you do that? I have one recommendation, okay? I have a lot of recommendations. Let me show you. Have you guys ever seen these? This is the Fair Play deck of cards. I'm not sponsored by them. I should be. Maybe I'll message them and tell them to sponsor me. This is one of the best ways I have found to talk through the mental load with a spouse. Because then it has all of these cards, and every single one of these is a different mental load that you may be facing. And you can categorize them and say, oh, this is on you, this is on me. And it creates a visualization of, look, everything is on me. I'm carrying the bulk of the mental load. And then you come in and say, you just need to tell me what to do. No, that's the whole point. The mental load is not having to ask you what needs to happen. The mental load is you just see the thing that needs to be done and you do it. And if you feel like you are doing everything and you have a partner that's willing to help out when you tell them to, like, that is where the problem comes from. We need to have shared responsibilities in the home, you guys. Even if you are at home and your spouse is working all day, there needs to be split mental loads. That doesn't mean that it's 50-50. Well, it should be 50-50. It should be fairly even. We're not keeping score. But factoring in that work is there, and while he's working, there may be things that you're doing. But I tell you what, I see too often that the mental load is not even. There's things that you don't even think about. Who manages the health insurance? Who manages the pets? Who feeds the pets? Who takes care of the pets? Who's in charge of having fun and playing with the kids? Who's in charge of let's see. Who's in charge of getting up in the night with an infant? And you guys, put me in the chat if this is you, if you do this. Who's in charge of making holidays special? What would Christmas look like if you weren't making the magic? Who manages your credit cards, your points, your miles, looking for coupons? Who's in charge of knowing when school breaks are? Knowing when school is out for the kids? Is that just you, or does your partner know these things and oversee these things? Who is in contact with the teachers? Who is the contact point for the teachers? Who's in charge of coordinating childcare and babysitters? Who's in charge of coordinating home repairs when they need to happen? Guys, this is what I'm talking about. So I understand this is an Autism Live, but I talk about this so much in here because someone asked that I'm talking about this because the question was raised, how do you help autism parents connect with each other? And my argument here is that one of the biggest factors is sharing the mental load with your spouse. Because when the mental load is not split, when you're doing an uneven amount of things and your spouse just has to worry about going to work and then coming home, that is not sharing the mental load. There are infinite amount of things that need to happen that are in your mind, and that needs to be shared. And I love hearing it, John. We definitely share the load. I love that. That is what we want. And I'm not saying all couples are having troubles with this, but it is something all couples should watch for and make sure that we're being careful about. All right, you guys, let's bring some people up. Let's have some conversations. I want to make sure my audio is working. Is Lexi or Destiny or Amy in the chat that could come up and make sure that my audio is working, that I can hear you? Oh, there you are.
Hello, good morning.
Well, hi there. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Can everyone hear Lexi okay? I changed some things on my audio. Wanted to make sure yesterday that everything sounded okay. Let's see. On YouTube, can you guys hear Lexi okay? Put yes in the chat over on the YT platform.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
All right, let's see. Sometimes maybe people aren't even watching over there, but okay. I appreciate my husband so much. Steph, I love that. I love being able to. I love it when it's working well. Lexi, how did the festival go yesterday?
The festival is actually tomorrow. It's on Saturday. It's the first Saturday of it.
I thought it was
April.
yesterday. You were just helping set things up or something, or?
Yeah, I had to go because we do everything based off of like community donations. So we don't get sponsored for this event or anything like that. We go out into our general community here in Tucson and we ask for donations, whether it be like a box of chips or a box of, juices or water or monetary donations. So we go out into like our actual community around here.
So you're doing something
and we asked for those donations. So yesterday I was picking up donations and getting them back to the home where one of our other autism moms resides, and getting them back to her so that tomorrow we can do pickup early in the morning so we can get over to the park and set everything up. So I've been pretty busy. I'm on your lives because I try to set that time apart.
Hey, if you ever are too busy during this time, I won't be mad at you, Lexi, but you are missed whenever you're not here. So just know that.
Thank you.
So if you have to ever hop off, especially when you're dealing with some of this stuff, I understand. Oh, Destiny's on here too. I didn't even see that. All right, you guys, go ahead and request up. If you guys have a question, if you want to ask anything, go ahead and request up. We are going to have more discussions today. Keep those questions in the chat as well. But if you do want to come up and ask in person, you can do that as well. Destiny, hello. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Well, that wasn't a good response. Just hanging in there. What's going on?
The last 24 hours have been a nightmare. Hudson, we've been putting him in like baggy t-shirts and diapers to go to sleep because that was the only way that he wouldn't like strip all of his clothes and go to the bathroom in his bed. And now he's doing that again. And so like last night at like 10:30, he was screaming. So we go in there, he's stripped all of his clothes off, diaper off. He's just laying in a puddle of pee crying. And I'm like, I was like 5 seconds away from falling asleep. And then he did it again at like 2 a.m. And so I went on Amazon and I ordered a bunch of really thick zip-up pajamas. We're going to try those. It's just been, it's been a hot mess. Like his whole room smells permanently like a biohazard. I just need to throw that mattress away.
Here, what's hard is even as kids get older, you just get bigger problems too. Like, I keep looking for the day of like, I can't wait until like things are calm and things are better. And then I'm like,
a new day, a new problem.
Oh, yeah. With my son, now that he's hitting people, it's causing problems too. I will say I had success yesterday. You guys in the chat, let's do some celebrations. Put some celebrations in the chat. What are some huge successes you guys have had? I want to tell another success. Yesterday, I had 2 successes. One, my son ate apples for the first time that I have ever seen him eat apples. And that was exciting. And the second is I took him to the store for the first time in a long time. It's probably been 3 months or more since he's been to the store because we just avoid that. It's always been a struggle. And I took him yesterday, and he waved and said hi to everyone. Now, when they responded, he doesn't know what to say back, but he was saying hi to everybody, which was amazing. All right, you guys, let's see what other celebrations we have, you guys. My son had a tantrum without hitting yesterday. Hey, that's success. You know what? A tantrum without hitting is just showing emotions. I'll take that. I'll take that. Okay, he's making more verbal requests. Michelle, thank you for sharing that. Go ahead and keep putting in the chat any successes you guys have. My son did his laundry without any assistance for the first time. Molly, wow, you guys, that's amazing.
Yesterday, Hudson woke up from his nap and he kept saying, "Go bye-bye, go bye-bye." And I think it's because normally like he gets up from his nap and we go straight to therapy. And I'm like, all right, we got to go bye-bye. But that was still really big. So of course we had to take him somewhere. We drove to Walgreens and picked up prescriptions and came home. But
yes, that's amazing. That's so good. Bad says my granddaughter said 1, 2, 3 yesterday. Wow, that's so good. That's so good. I love it when kids like you haven't heard much words at all, and then it's just like almost an explosion of like, I don't know. Like my son, the very first word that was recognizable that we knew he was saying was butterfly. Like a 3-syllable word that it wasn't mama, it wasn't dad, but it was seeing a butterfly and saying butterfly.
I love that our kids always like, we're just starting with simple words like ball and go, and they're super califragilistic, speaking in full sentences. I'm like, what?
Oh, I love it.
It's always the most complicated words. Like Hudson says bee bug for ladybug. He goes, "It's a bee bug." I'm like, that's and so I never want to correct him ever. I think it's so cute. I'm like, you know what? From now on, that absolutely is a bee bug.
Love that. Let's see. White Trash Wannabe on the chat says, "Are you vaxxed?" I am. Not sure what that has to do with anything. Are we doing random questions on White Trash? Do you like spaghetti?
You've got to stop calling her white trash.
That's their
Seriously,
name.
that's the funniest part, though.
That's their name.
Y'all gotta start changing your usernames because that is so funny.
That's their name on there. Yeah. All right. Very cool. Let's see any other Well, I think we might have some people in the guest box. Let's see. Oh no, we don't. Usually we do. Usually we have a flood of people wanting to join. We'll just keep reading questions if that's what people want to do. All right, you guys. My 10-year-old nonverbal daughter said 6'7" yesterday.
Harley says, "I'm stopping myself from sharing what I exactly want to say."
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Share with the world, Harley.
I want to hear. Yeah.
So my son decided to eat Ritz crackers yesterday. And
oh no. He crumbled them, didn't he?
Well, yeah. But I'm just excited that he ate something new.
Yes.
So feeding therapy is doing something for him.
I love
but
that.
But now the problem is that he wants to eat Ritz crackers all the time. And
Ritz crackers are my biggest enemy as an autism mom. He just I'll give him one and he just loves the way it feels to smush it in his hand and all the crumbs just start. Oh my gosh.
Yes, terrible. I have crumbs all over my couch, all over my carpet, all everywhere. But I'm excited because he tried something new. I guess that's the autistic that's parent side of it.
That's a celebration for sure.
I love that with neurotypical parents, they'd probably be throwing fits over the things that we deal with every day, like throwing all the toys out of the toy box or crumbling their food or eating with their hands. And as an autism parent, I think that's a plus, honestly, because I've learned that not everything is an emergency. Not everything has to be dealt with. Instead of I'm celebrating that he's eating a new food. We can clean up messes. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So my son, he eats dry cereal for breakfast just about every day. It goes in a spot and at the table. And then my daughter, who is almost 2, she will typically go up while we're not looking and pull it onto the ground and then eat the cereal off the ground. And it's gotten to the point that as soon as she starts coming, my 3.5-year-old will take his cereal and throw it across the room so that it's on the ground for her. And so yesterday he asked for cereal. He said cereal, cereal, and he can do these one-word mans now, which is amazing. And I poured it for him. I put it on his plate. He didn't even get up to his spot. He just grabbed it, threw it across the room, and spread cereal across our floor. So our floors are disgusting constantly. I mean, I sweep multiple times a day.
Brooklyn, I will say, if it's carpet, into the carpet. Crushed cereal is way easier to vacuum than whole cereal. So your kids are doing you a favor.
That's right.
Look, okay, I'm one of those moms that if he has veggie straws and he's thrown them on the floor and crushed them up, if there's a whole veggie straw, I will step on it so that I can vacuum it up.
Yes. Oh.
I have something I wanted to share too. I just had to get away from my kid real quick for a second because they don't have school. You know how last week, and this is for the chat for the people who weren't here last week, I shared that I was going through something pretty difficult because my son told me that he hates autism and he doesn't want to have autism.
Yeah.
And that was really hard on me as a parent because, you know, I sit there and I think about all the therapies, all the time, everything else that goes into making sure that he has services so that he can understand himself and be able to identify the feelings and things like that. So as a parent, it was kind of hard to hear that. However, I bought some shirts that we were pre-selling for the event tomorrow, and I brought them home yesterday, and he asked me what they were, and I told him that they were our shirts for the autism party. And now since he heard that, I'm sorry, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, but ever since that, he's like, I love autism. Are we going to go do our autism party? Let's go to our autism party. I want to go.
I love that. Guys,
Yeah,
kids do not come with the predisposed like fears and worries of the label of autism. Like they can say that they hate it, there can be problems, but Lexi, that's a perfect example of how to address this and turn it into such a positive, beautiful thing, because I absolutely do not recommend keeping it a secret from your child. But addressing it that way of celebrating, accepting, and loving, beautiful. I love that. Guys, I love the theme of outer space, and so the reason my name is Space to Thrive, Kylan Heiner's Space to Thrive. Space to Thrive is a play on like outer space, but also like we need space to thrive and do well. And I want to make merch that, not even merch for me, but I want my kids to have all the clothes they can that just says I need space, but with like astronauts and moons and stars. And they already have some clothes like that. I don't know who sells it, but man, I love that. Yeah, we need to celebrate.
remember that guy that was on here last week that was an autism dad that was talking about the Able accounts?
Yes.
His son actually started a like business. His autistic son, who's 17, I believe, started a business selling like stuff like that. So
Really?
I don't know.
love that.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's pretty cool. I followed him, so now I get all his videos and stuff, and they just started printing and shipping this week, actually. So
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I love that.
Isn't your wife in like graphic design, Kylan?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She's amazing at that stuff.
Brooklyn, she should do it. She should make it for us, and then we can have those shirts all over the United States.
Yeah,
And
she actually, like, the other business that I started, ABA Wizard, that is like for exam prep and teaching for ABA and behavior analysts. She created a bunch of merch and stuff, and that stuff sold like crazy. I mean, we have a lot of behavior analysts out there wearing our merch that Brooklyn designed. So
I did ask the ABA, Hudson. I asked the ABA provider that I was on the phone with yesterday. I was talking to her about everything going on for the news interview. But she did say she used ABA Wizard.
Really?
I was like, oh,
Yeah, there
yeah.
we go. Okay, yeah. I think most people do because it's the cheapest option. I made it out of frustration of how expensive like curriculum are. Like people spend hundreds of dollars on it for access for a couple months, and I'm like, I can make a better thing and sell it to everybody for $10, and that's what I did, and it made it like kind of the
We love
industry standard that
frustration
everyone.
creations.
Yes, that's what a lot of my stuff is like, man, this is so messed up. This is dumb. I can do it better. I can do it cheaper. I can help a lot of people, and then we do it. We make it happen. All right, you guys. Let's see. I think we probably got some sort of alert or something on the platform. Let's see here. I'm gonna change. If anyone wants to come up and ask any questions, let me go ahead and change it to a panel view so it's easier to request up. And people can come on up to ask any questions that you might have. Change.
And for people who are on here, just to know, this is a safe space for everybody, whether you have autism or are trying to learn about autism or need help or support. If you do report this page, you will be blocked. This is not like a debate platform. We don't sit here and debate each other. We support autism. We support parents of children who have autism. We support people who have autism themselves and any professional who is trying to, get information to help our children. So if you do report this page, we will be blocking you and you will be permabanned because I'm not doing it anymore.
Thank you. Thank you, Lexi, for taking care of us. The guys, put hearts in the chat for the mods. We got some amazing mods, you guys. Give us some hearts or give them some hearts. Thank you all for the moderators helping out. I appreciate that. Okay. Hilda, hello. How are you? Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you guys. It was my earphone.
Oh,
But
good.
yes,
Where are you at? Where do you live?
I live in North Carolina
Wonderful.
with my son. He's almost 6, nonverbal autistic. And I have a question. And I am so grateful that I connect with you today because I was struggling big time because he due to the diet. You know how it just I hear it all the time. That is in their in their stomach, they like a better diet, and I'm like right here. It's like I can barely make him make him eat something, at least something, and it's like
So much pressure that you have as an autism mom to
and
make it perfect for your child and address these things that don't really need to be addressed.
yes, and I'm like, I am so thankful that I was like my conscience, and it's like here he is, just eating bread, cookie, watermelon, and well, I don't know what to do. I want him to eat something at least, or not, go to bed without nothing, and it's
Yeah.
just I'm like, okay, I can do it no more. But I have my question was like because you can't you answered that one for me
Yeah.
about medication.
Yeah.
Um, they the doctor start him because he's gonna be almost 6 and he cannot stay still.
Yeah.
And it's a constantly movement and movement and movement and like frustration because he's not verbal and he wants to communicate. Something that I'm trying to like do is not to respond when he screams, but trying to show a picture so that way he can learn how to communicate that way. But the medication is the thing that I just I'm kind of concerned as a mom because I see his appetite is it's not even he don't even want to eat no more, and
Oh.
yeah,
What
and
medication do they start him on?
quanfacine,
Okay. Is
and I got him to like
How
one
old is he?
milligram. He is 5.5.
Okay.
He'll be 6 on July.
And is he diagnosed with ADHD?
Right now, I'm waiting for for the um, psychiatric psychologist appointment to see, because I have both to see what's what's other, if it's something else out there. But right now, they give him medicine for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Look, I this is something I can't give recommendations on medications, specific recommendations. But what I can say is I can talk about how to use your care team effectively. And my recommendation to you is that, as like what you just said, is that your son started a medication and now you're seeing a decrease in his appetite and he's already restricted in what he eats. To me, that warrants an immediate appointment with the doctor who prescribed the medication to discuss that with them and see how worried they are about it. Here's the thing is, you as the mom, I want to my goal is to take off as much from you as the mom and put it on the professionals so that you're not stressing about all of these things yourself, that you are confident that someone smarter than you in that subject has you in their, that you have them in your corner. And so have you done a follow-up appointment with the doctor who prescribed the medicine to talk about the appetite problem?
Yes, I sent her an email like to, because he just started with this medication last 2 weeks ago, but it was like 0.205, and he was okay with it, but he was still hyper, but not as hyper as he usually was. So
Yeah.
for me it was okay, but he still didn't sit like, I don't know, they expect the medication just to like make him sit and learn. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, so I told her, for me he was getting, I see a lot of improvement. At least he's not as stressed out as he was, and he kind of focus a little bit more, not the way the professionals or teachers or want him, or expect them to be, but but she's like, okay, so like increase. So this week I increased to 1 milligram in the morning, and like half at noon and half at night. But then I noticed like he having like headaches and less an appetite,
Yeah.
and that's like I sent her email like three
Perfect.
days
You
ago.
you did this perfectly, and I just want to tell you, like, there is no shame in using medications as you consult with the doctors. When I say there's no like medications or vitamins that by default you need to use because your child has autism, that's true. However, there are specific symptoms associated with autism, or specific traits or behaviors that you may see that medications can absolutely help. And it sounds like your doctor was, made a good call here, and you're seeing some positive trends, and talk to them about the concern with the appetite. That is perfect. You're doing this the right way. Another thing a lot of people prescribe medications for with kids with autism is sleep. Not every kid with autism needs this, but if your child struggles with sleep, they can recommend melatonin or magnesium. And if those don't work, sometimes they'll prescribe clonidine. And, we just, as parents, we feel so much guilt and pressure that you're doing the wrong thing. The moment you admit, hey, we're using medications, you immediately get pushback from other families. And I just want to encourage everybody who's listening right now, we need to be more understanding, more loving, and never cast judgment on a parent that is just making decisions like this to do what's best for their child. So you're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you. Yeah, because like his first, I even use, I use melatonin like from a year ago, because he was not sleeping. The first 4 years, I was like this desperate sleep. I couldn't, we was not sleeping at all at nighttime. I was not sleeping, and it was horrible
Yeah.
until I find out like magnesium and melatonin, and his sleep, at least I sleep now. But
Yes. Hey, if you can sleep, you can get through anything. That's what I say. If you can get through the night and you slept, you can conquer the world.
that is
I
true.
just
So yes, it does help me out to hear that, because I feel horrible when the doctors tell me like give him medication. I right away I just want to cut it off. I just like want to run away, because I don't want to do it, but at the same time I see my son, and it's like I don't know what to do. Like, but
Yeah.
yeah,
You're
thank
doing
you.
the right thing. Talk to the doctor, and again, don't restrict the feeding. It sounds like you pulled out some good takeaways from our conversation earlier, and you need to recommend, or you need to help your child have all the safe foods that he can, and then slowly start working on those other foods. And you will see progress. You absolutely will. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next person. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for being part of this and for the conversation. You have a good one.
I just wanted to tell her that she was amazing at noticing all of the differences in her child and
Oh, yeah.
advocating for him. So, if I know she's probably in the chat still listening, but I just want to tell you, you're doing an amazing job, Mama. Keep up the good work and keep advocating for your child because you know him best.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Lexi. Okay, my wife and I are both in medical, and she is doing every protocol under the sun that may help him. I don't agree. You don't agree with your wife doing everything? I look at the worry, like I see this all the time, that parents want to do everything for our child, but in doing that, you are using too many resources and time that could be going to other things to support and care for your child, instead of stressing about all these medical protocols that have mixed or minimal evidence behind them. You could be focused on things that help your child increase, therapy, or increase their your capacity to care for your child. And so if it is between you and your wife getting out on more date nights, or implementing a detox protocol that's not backed by evidence, I would recommend do more date nights. That's going to be better for your child in the long run because he's going to have regulated parents. Yeah, love it. Look, we don't judge each other here. We're all trying to do our best as long as you're not harming your kid. But I am an advocate of keeping things simple, so that this is not something that can be solved in a few months. You cannot cure autism. You cannot reverse autism, and it doesn't need to be cured. We need to love, accept, and support autism. And so, yeah, I love that. All right, you guys, this has been wonderful. I have some work that I got to step back into. Thank you all for being here. You guys, if you are new here, make sure that you hit the follow button so that you can see next time I go live. I do go live on a daily basis. We answer all the questions that come through, or a lot of the questions. We love doing these lives. And if you just can't get enough of this conversation, we do have a Discord chat and a Facebook group that you're able to join. As well as you can hop on over to the YouTube and go and watch previous lives that we do. And they all get saved over there. So thank y'all for being here. Y'all are incredible. You all have a good day. See you later, Lexi.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.